Hello, everyone! In a heartbreaking and emotionally raw turn of events, the world has been left shaken by the deeply personal and vulnerable revelations made by Aventer Gray, the wife of Pastor John Gray, who has finally broken her long, deafening silence with a message that left many in tears: "Save me." For years, the public watched the couple from afar, admiring their shared ministry, their seemingly unbreakable bond, and the image of strength they presented both on stage and on social media. But as it turns out, behind the glossy photos and powerful sermons was a woman quietly wrestling with pain, disillusionment, and isolation. Aventer Gray's recent words don't come as part of a press conference or a formal church statement. They came from her heart in a series of cryptic social media posts, whispered testimonies to close confidants, and now a brutally honest interview where she spoke without filters or rehearsed lines. She recounted the overwhelming burden of standing beside a man who is both publicly anointed and privately complicated. "There's a loneliness that comes with being a pastor's wife that no one prepares you for," she said, her voice shaking. "I was smiling for the world while breaking for myself." Aventer described how the ministry demanded perfection, but behind closed doors, she was navigating betrayal, spiritual exhaustion, and emotional silence. She recounted moments when she would cry out to God, not as a woman of faith, but as a woman on the edge, begging for the strength to continue. She admitted that her plea, "Save me," was not just for herself, but for every woman in ministry who feels unseen, unheard, and spiritually abandoned while propping up someone else's calling. The betrayal scandals surrounding Pastor John Gray, while once publicly defended by Aventer, are now being re-examined in a new light, not as isolated missteps, but as patterns that left her feeling trapped in a cycle of public forgiveness and private grief. "I was taught to cover him, but who was covering me?" she asked with painful clarity. Over the years, her silence had been mistaken for weakness or complicity, but now she's reclaiming her voice, not as a reaction, but as a revolution. She detailed sleepless nights, counseling sessions she attended alone, and even moments where she considered walking away, not just from the marriage, but from the church altogether. "I had to find myself again," she said. "Before I was a pastor's wife, I was Aventer." Her powerful testimony is resonating with women across the globe, many of whom now see her not just as the wife of a famous preacher, but as a survivor, a truth teller, and an example of inner resilience. And yet, Aventer is not vengeful. In her words, "There is no venom, only vulnerability." She speaks of grace, but no longer the kind that enables silence. Instead, the kind that demands truth and healing. As the world reacts to this new, unfiltered version of Aventer Gray, questions loom over the future of the couple's ministry and marriage. Will this be a turning point for real accountability in the pulpit? Will churches finally begin to honor the emotional labor of women who stand beside flawed but charismatic leaders? And most importantly, will Aventer's cry of "Save me" ignite a movement among faith leaders' wives who are too often expected to suffer in silence? What remains certain is that this moment, this raw, tear-stained truth, is not just about one woman or one marriage. It's about a reckoning in the church, a conversation long overdue, and a woman who dared to speak when silence became too heavy a cross to bear. Aventer Gray's words are not just a plea, they are a declaration that healing begins when truth is spoken, and that even in the shadows of someone else's spotlight, your own voice matters. Thanks for watching.